Welcome once again, everybody, to another episode of B&B Hockey Talk. We bring you our special Friday Vancouver Canucks edition. It's February the 15th. 4 games the Canucks played since the last episode that we aired. Beating Calgary in a shootout. Absolutely getting smoke showed by the San Jose Sharks. Then getting injured and shut out by the Anaheim Ducks. And, of course, the big shootout win last night. Lots of highs and lows for this team. I'm going to go off on a limb and say my low was poor Michael DiPietro in net against San Jose. Absolutely getting shelled, but it wasn't – the team just absolutely didn't even show up for him. And my high, probably seeing Adam Gaudette finally appearing and looking like he belongs in the NHL. How about you? What's going on with the Canucks? Lots of injuries in the last since they were finally healthy, I heard, at the beginning of February for the first time all season long, and then the wheels fell off. Why don't you update us first and foremost with that injury list, because it is a long list.
Yeah, so the Canucks got fully healthy again on February 2nd, where and this is the second time this year where we've had full health and then everybody start to drop. On February 2nd, we had Sven Berchi with the post-concussion syndromes. And then on February the 4th, we had Demko with the knee injury in warm-up. And you also had the Edler concussion and all the face cuts and everything from that freak injury play. And then on the 9th, we had Brandon Sutter, who's now out at least 2 weeks with a groin injury. And Markstrom had that lower body tightness against that game in San Jose, even though he was still good to back up. And then again, the game against Anaheim on the 13th, we had Chris Tanev leave with an ankle injury after an awkward hit by Ryan Getzlaf. And Ryan Getzlaf again hitting Jake Virtanen. And Virtanen's out with an upper body injury, apparently not concussion related. Even though if you look at that Getzlaf hit, he did get hit in the head on that play. But yeah, it's just the Canucks' luck. It's like nobody gets really surprised. It's just like once when we get fully healthy, it's just like, all right, how long is this sort of gonna last until another guy drops?
Well, it's really tested the depth of this team, and I think it's shown that they're not ready yet to. They're still competing for that final playoff spot in the Turtle Derby in the West. But it just shows that there's still several pieces away from being a serious contender in the playoffs. But they do have some pieces coming up. I've really liked Zach McEwen's game the last couple games. Adam Gaudette gets back into the lineup and just looks absolutely phenomenal. Some people were joking around today that it's his haircut. But man, he sniped that one last night, get to tie it, and really set up Brock Besser with his goal. Looked like the Hobie Baker Award winner that we were expecting. And that's what the confidence has done for him down in Utica.
Mm-hmm.
So, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So, to go along with Gaudette there, and maybe it's just something to do with the Staples Center, too. He got his first NHL goal there as well earlier this year. So, it's really nice. He's up to 4 goals, 9 points. He's matching Brandon Sutter in goals this year, and more than double the amount of assists. I'll continue to say that Gaudette should be in the lineup no matter what for the rest of the season. And then Jacob Markstrom, talk about the guy standing on his head. Like that game against Calgary where he faced 47 shots, just an absolute beast. And then going back-to-back nights in Anaheim and LA, that's the 5th time this year that he's gone back-to-backs this year. The most in Canucks franchise history is Luongo. In his first year with the Canucks, he did it 10 times that year, which is just crazy to think. But yeah, Markstrom, he's really starting to solidify himself as a number 1 goalie this year. His save percentage is up to .911 this year, and up to 22, 16, and 6 on the season. Still needs that 1 shutout this year, but that's sort of been the nitpick of his career, that he's had a hard time getting shutouts. But that's just the thing, because we saw in that game against San Jose when Markstrom isn't in the net, things go very badly when he's not playing. And I feel really bad for DiPietro. Like he knew, like, as soon as like that first goal went in, with all 5 guys just sort of just staring at the puck behind the net, and then just leaving the guy wide open in front. And then the second goal where Hutton like jumps up to glove it down and then deflects off his glove and then off DiPietro and in. That game was just terrible. But at least the Canucks finally addressed their goaltending situation, picking up Marek Mazanec. We'll figure out how to pronounce his last name soon. For a 2020 7th-round pick. It makes you wonder why Benning just couldn't do that trade earlier if the cost was just a 7th-round pick in a draft 2 years from now. Because Benning was trying to get by sort of with DiPietro as the backup, and then the worst-case scenario happened where out of all the teams that DiPietro had to face, it was the second highest scoring team in the NHL in the Sharks. I thought he actually did settle in a little bit as the game went along, even though he did let in 7 goals.
His team never helped him at all.
Mm-hmm.
The team never helped him at all. They came out really flat and just looked really stale. Like I felt really bad for DiPietro that game for sure. When it was 3-1, the Canucks looked like they were slowly coming on. And then we had, the defense on the Canucks right now with Edler gone and now Tanev gone. I mean, there's more holes than a wheel of Swiss cheese back there. And, we'll comment on the play of Troy Stecher and Ben Hutton in a bit because those guys have been real workhorses. They've been playing fantastic hockey. But one thing I wanted to bring up quick before we touch on them, Brock Besser gets his 20th goal of the season last night. He's looked phenomenal in the last 2 games. He looks really good skating-wise, shooting-wise, confidence-wise. First time since 2011, 2012 that the Canucks have 3 guys with 20 or more goals. Finally, we have some scoring. And we might get even more if guys like Virtanen get back into the lineup and can get to that 20-goal range. But what are your thoughts on that? And then touch on the way the defense is played, especially Hutton and Stecher.
Yeah. So Brock Besser, like that shot, man, it's so good, and he's slowly catching up to Bo Horvat for second on the team in points. Besser's up to 39 points, and he's only 6 points back of Horvat, who's played 13 more games than him this season. But yeah, that shot, and then he finally got a goal in the shootout for the shootout winner last night in LA. But yeah, and he earned a nice little bonus too, just a little over $200K for hitting the 20-goal mark, which isn't too bad right there. But seeing his shot get back, and him and Pettersson, man, Pettersson's been freaking amazing to watch over these past few games. Like even in that Anaheim game where I watched, I think Besser had like a cross ice pass to him. I think it was in the second period, and it was about like waist high. And Pettersson just knocks the puck down, gets control of it, comes in and does like a toe drag and gets tripped up. No penalty was on the play, but it's a chemistry like that where it's just crazy to watch those 2 guys go at it. And then touching on the defense and Hutton and Stecher, where would we be without Troy Stecher? Because that right side would look absolutely terrible right now without him. Had 31 minutes and 55 seconds of ice time last night, which is the 5th highest total ice time this year in the entire NHL. Only Letang, who's done it twice with Pittsburgh, Ryan Suter with Minnesota, and Jeff Petrie with Montreal have had a higher ice time this year than he did. And Ben Hutton on the other side. It's great to see these guys like Hutton going from a healthy scratch last year to being the top pairing right now. And Troy Stecher, who was actually played most of the first half of the season on the 3rd pair, while Eric Goodbranson kept getting that ice time over him for some reason. But yeah, he's been great. And then him on the power play has been great too. Him and Brock Besser, as we know, played at North Dakota together, so they got that chemistry right there. And then Stecher has been feeding Pettersson for his one-timers and got an assist on Pettersson's goal last night as well. But yeah, without those 2 guys, we're down to like Biega, Goodbranson, Luke Shen, Guillaume Brisebois, it's Derek Pouliot. It's it's not a whole lot left back there. But yeah, if it wasn't for those two guys and Jacob Markstrom back there, the Canucks would be pretty bad right now.
The one thing I did like about Stetcher on that power play is you mentioned it. He is able to put it right into Pettersson's wheelhouse. It seems better than Hutton or Edler have, and it might be because he's a right-handed shot. I'm not sure, but man, Pettersson's getting a lot of one-timers. He's getting a lot of chances. Hit the crossbar against Anaheim. Buried one top corner on Jonathan Quick last night. Looked good again. Got mad at one point last night where he came to the bench and went off on his teammates. And that's something you don't see with a lot of young kids. But this guy is a competitor. He's got the fire in his belly. And, man, he is absolutely setting the league on fire still with his points in his first few, the first so many games. Some great comparisons out there to Crosby and McDavid and others of what they've done in their first 46-plus games. So that being said, other forwards on the Canucks, Horvat's really still carrying a lot of the load. But I've been really impressed with Antoine Roussel. And just his determination, his hustle, the way he's good at getting under the skin of opponents. He was really in Doughty's face. He was in Corey Perry's face the night before that. I think he really got Giordano angry at him against Calgary. He's just a competitor, and I love it. I like the way he battles. He doesn't win all the battles, but he's trying very hard, and he's really done a good job, I think, emulating almost what Alex Burrows used to bring to this team.
Yeah, like 24 points in 54 games too, which is really nice. Nice to see, and I believe actually I'll have to look it up later. I'll probably post it tonight sometime. But basically, like, he has 18 assists. But the majority of those assists have been primary assists, which is even more impressive. That's just not just secondary assists. He's actually setting up goals while actually, and then getting under the guy's skin on the other team as well. But yeah, he's been great. And then we had Zach McEwen make his NHL debut this week as well, and he had a nice assist setting up Pouliot against the Sharks in that game. And he's actually looked pretty good in the couple of games that he's played. But
Goldobin finally gets back into the lineup. And luckily Gaudette scored last night, and they were able to pull it off in the shootout because everybody would be talking about the empty net that Goldobin missed. Point-blank chance, and he put it wide. Is this guy just a step behind, or is he just lacking confidence like Gaudette maybe was before he went down to the farm?
Yeah, I think I saw Jason Botchford. He posted something. It was his point production like before he got that first healthy scratch. I believe it was sometime in December, and ever since he's had that healthy scratch and come back, his point production has just dropped dramatically from those first 2 months. So I guess that would have negatively affected him, but he's got to get his game back from the first 2 months of the season where he was putting up the points, even though he's still fourth in the team in points. But with Roussel just a point back of him now, and Virtanen right there, he's got to figure things out. But it'll be interesting to see as the trade deadline comes around. If the Canucks will end up moving him for another maybe certain type of player, just sort of like the way he was. Like, I saw Charles Hudon's name from Montreal come up as a potential player that Benny might be interested in. That's sort of what Benny's looking for, is a player for player trade. But I'd still rather have Goldobin, I think, right now. Mm-hmm. And another thing that I saw that I'd be interested to get your opinion on. Is if the Canucks would be interested in trading Jake Virtanen. I saw Dante Fabro's name with the Nashville Predators come up, right-handed defenseman who's looking to turn pro before the end of the year. Same with Quinn Hughes, who will probably most likely be with the Canucks next month once his college season is done. Would that be something that would intrigue you if you had to give up Virtanen? I
don't know if I'd be ready to give up Virtanen yet, but Dante Fabro is high on my list of people that I would love to see in a Vancouver Canucks uniform. That definitely is intriguing. Maybe give up a different piece if you could.
Mm-hmm.
to land him, but it would definitely help solidify the back end with guys like if you had Fabro coming into the lineup and Quinn Hughes coming into the lineup. All of a sudden, you have Edler, Tanev, Hutton, Stetcher, Hughes, and Fabro. I'd be a pretty big supporter of that back six if that's the case. Absolutely. Moving along, who else? I was talking about. I know we've talked about Brandon Sutter potentially being a piece that they could potentially move at the trade deadline. But when you look into contracts more, Brandon Sutter actually has a no trade clause this year. And until July 1st, he'll have a limited no trade clause where he can give a list of 15 teams that he would want to go to. Do the Canucks even have a chance of trading him right now? Or even Edler for that matter, like if they wanted to? I don't, with their no trade clauses, I don't see guys waiving it, unfortunately, at this point.
Yeah, and the toughest thing is the injuries as well. Both of those injuries will probably take them right through the trade deadline. I think Sutter now. I think it'll be an off-season trade. If it does happen. Now Edler, I'm still be intrigued to see if teams come calling, even though if he is injured right now. But it's just tougher because like you just hear contract extension now for Edler, and I sure hope it's like at most only 2 years. Just because like he is getting up there in age, and if you look at like the oldest defenseman in the league, there aren't too many defensemen older than him in the NHL.
Chara is 41.
Yeah, and then after that it starts dropping. Like I think like Duncan Keith's like the 8th oldest defenseman in the NHL or something like that, and he's like 35 or something.
Oh, Ron Hainsey's got to be up there too.
Yeah, Hainsey, you got Brooks Orpik up there. But yeah, there aren't too many older defensemen out there because it's just like
for sure over 35.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like if you can't keep pace in this NHL now, it's just like you're moving out of the league, and the younger guys are coming in because like Eric Goodbranson, it's just like we haven't brought his name up a whole lot, but man, is this guy bad? It's just like I was looking up like goals against per 60 when he's on the ice. He has the 3rd worst in the entire NHL for a defenseman at 4.4 goals against per 60 minutes. Only Brooks Orpik 4.91, and Brandon Manning with Edmonton Oilers 5.08 goals against per 60 when those guys are on the ice. So it's not good. And he's a minus 24 on the year now. It's just, man, and with all the injuries, it's like you got no choice but to keep playing him. But whenever he's on the ice, it's just like don't screw up. Sort of.
Maybe he's a piece that they could move as well. He'd be definitely him or Pouliot would definitely be on my list. But yeah, it's interesting to see what they're going to do at the trade deadline. I don't think they could be buyers just yet. They definitely still should be sellers, but you never know. I mean, getting that extra playoff revenue, if they can squeak into the playoffs, might intrigue Equilini enough to tell them Benning to push for it. But I still don't think they're ready, but it's really great to see the kids. You got McEwen, you still have Goldobin, Virtanen, Horvat that are still young, but you've got Besser and Pettersson that have arrived. You've got Gaudette, who's very close to being a top player. It'll be very interesting to see what pieces this team can add, maybe at the trade deadline or even at the draft. Let's talk about Utica for a little bit. Jonah Gadjevich finally gets his 2nd goal, I believe, of the season. Absolute stud in that game. Had a fight as well and was named the 1st star. Gadjevich and Lind are starting to produce down there. They're finally getting some ice time. And Jonathan Dahlin's also still scoring at a good pace down there. What have you liked from the kids in the farm? And do you think they're going to get some continued ice time down there? Like, they're 2nd-round picks, for God's sake. They should be getting way more ice time than they have been. But what have you liked about Utica so far?
Yeah. So that is the biggest thing. It is the ice time for these young guys, because I saw JD Burke with the Athletic. He actually did like a chart on the ice time for the younger guys there. And outside of Jonathan Dahlin, most of the guys have sort of been hovering around like third, fourth line minutes for most of the season. It's not exactly accurate because they don't exactly track ice time as they do in the NHL. But that's been like a big thing because outside of Jonathan Dahlen, consistency in the top six for those guys hasn't been great. But yeah, it is nice to see them start producing, like Gadjevich for sure, because they kept sitting on that one goal for most of the season and basically playing fourth line minutes when he has been in the lineup. It is nice to see him finally get a night like that. And like even bringing up Zach McEwen before, like he got called up, he was up to 42 points in 49 games. Talk about a revelation from where he was. He was like an unsigned or undrafted 20-year-old playing in the Quebec Major Junior League, and now he's in the NHL. Talk about a really good steal there by Jim Benning.
Yeah, he's got no fear at all, and I like the edge that he plays with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is really nice to see young guys going, and they're getting healthy. Like Jalen Chatfield's healthy again. Ashton Sautner is back in the lineup on the back end. So it's really nice to see that they're finally starting to get some help on the back end there too. And even Luke Shen, that he got called up today by the Canucks. He had 5 points in 7 games in Utica, even though that's not what he's known for. But at least he is helping out back there.
His brother can score a few goals, but he's also brings a little bit of physicality. So.
Mm-hmm. And Brendan Gaunce has actually had a pretty nice year too, up to 15 goals, 29 points in 36 games. I'm hoping like Tim Schaller, poor Tim Schaller, with all the injuries, he still can't get in. Man, if they can find a way to move Schaller and bring Gaunce up next, maybe at the trade deadline, because I'm not sure if Schaller's gained any interest around the league, but if they could move him, and Sam Gagner as well, the forgotten man, he's up to 37 points in 42 games with the Toronto Marlies. He is a guy that should be playing somewhere in the NHL. If he could trade him and get something back and maybe retain some salary because he still has the extra year on his deal. I'd be interested to see what Benning exactly will do with those veterans.
Good point, definitely. Why don't we give you the final word before we end today's show? All
right, so I'll be doing a little bit of catch up with the highlights. I got all the highlights downloaded right now, so I think by the time this video comes out, I'll start posting them. But I'll have the Canuck highlights from last night up first, and then the rest of the games from yesterday, and then 4 games on tonight's schedule. Will go up either late tonight or early tomorrow morning. And then, thanks for all the support. I think we got a few more people following us on our Facebook page. So it's very much appreciated. And, thanks for tuning in.
Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Remember to follow us, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube. Thank you to all our fans, and we will see you guys next week on B&B Hockey Talk.